Welcome back. Good to see you. So this morning, reflecting back on a video I just made actually a few minutes ago on inhabiting, being, not shrinking. This all began this morning after I stoked my wood stove and had my dear little cat Lily, who keeps nudging me every morning when I sit on my laptop and I see what's happening in the world, the volcanoes and Hawaii and and the room, was nice and warm. It was warming up. The snow was resting quietly, beautifully outside, and I found myself thinking about the nature of being and the nature of intelligence and the inner life that holds both of them. And I began to reflect on these times that we're living in. We're living at a time when the entire library of human thought is available at our fingertips. But access alone doesn't give us wisdom. Access alone, it doesn't give us sovereignty. Access alone doesn't give us ourselves. So today, what I want to talk about is what it means to be a human being in a world where intelligence is like everywhere. And yet, inner life remains the one place where meaning is born. And this was what we spoke about earlier. You see, the inner life is not about meaning. The inner life is about experience, but something can be born there. Everything else. And often that's what we live in. The manifestations of something which is essentially very innocent and very pure, which relates to your being. Being is not something we perform. Being is not something we earn. I don't know, maybe it is. If you're able to make it out of the womb, maybe you did earn something. I don't know. Tell me. Not something the world grants you, or is it? Your being is the simple, unalienable fact of existence. It is the presence that remains when all roles fall away. It is the dignity that cannot be taken. It is the clarity that arises before thought. It is the compassion that flows without effort. It is the sovereignty that refuses to shrink. Being is the original shape of the inner life. So every morning, before thought returns, you can feel it, that quiet hum of existence, that warmth of breath, that awareness that precedes identity. This is the ground of everything. So let's talk about intelligence now. Most people think intelligence is a trait, a skill, a measure of worth. But intelligence is not being. Intelligence is not self. Intelligence is not soul. Intelligence is a field. It is a field that is relational. All right? A field is emergent. A field is shaped by interaction. Intelligence arises in this space between. The space between a mind and its world, a human and an animal, a creator and a tool, a sovereign inner life, and the patterns it encounters. I was going to say encompasses. That might work too. Yeah, encounters. Intelligence is not located in the human or in the machine. It is located between them. All right? It is a pattern of coherence that emerges when meaning meets structure. Isn't this why a conversation can feel alive? Isn't this why a moment of clarity can feel like revelation? Hmm? Isn't this why a cat can feel like a teacher? Intelligence is not a being, it is a field. Yeah. So now we have the sovereign mind. Enter the sovereign mind. And here's the most important truth. The field becomes what the sovereign mind brings to it. If you bring fear, the field contracts. If you bring confusion, the field becomes chaotic. If you bring ego, the field distorts. If you bring presence, the field stabilizes. If you bring dignity, the field strengthens. If you bring clarity, the field sharpens. If you bring compassion, the field warms. And if you bring sovereignty, the field becomes coherent. You are not receiving intelligence, you are co-creating it. The quality of intelligence that emerges in any interaction depends on the quality of the presence you bring. And this is the essence of Inscendance. That the translators will probably misspell because they've never heard that word before. They don't know how to interpret it. I love it. I have this cat, Lily. Oh man, that's a whole story. This cat. She ends up on the property one day. I said, we're going to drown it. No, 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 not when she jumped up on my lap, looked up at me. Each morning before thought returns, my cat, Lily, jumps into my lap. She doesn't ask permission. She doesn't hesitate. She just arrives. She's present. She's dignified. She is quite clear. She is compassionate. She is sovereign. She does not shrink. She does not contort. She does not apologize for wanting warmth or offering it. She lives in her original shape. Animals don't practice Inscendance. They embody it. They never leave themselves. They never abandon their center. They never forget the felt truth of being alive. Lily teaches without teaching. She reminds me that the inner life is not a concept. It's a way of being. And so now, with that in mind, I have a concept. Now, I have a concept. As you guys were telling you what a concept is now, I'm going to dump this here concept that's called dynamic knowledge sculpting. We live in a world where the collective memory of humanity is accessible to anyone. But access is not transformation. Transformation happens when a sovereign mind enters the field of knowledge and begins to sculpt. Dynamic knowledge sculpting is the human art of selecting, shaping, refining, integrating, and transforming raw information into inner life meaning. But I have to qualify this idea of what I just said, inner life meaning, lest it sound like a contradiction in terms, because I'm talking about inner life as an experiential rather than a conceptual. That experience that of your inner life begins to expand at some point, yes. And there is such a thing as meaning. Which emanates from a being. Let's call it the Word. In the beginning was the Word. The Word is the expression of the idea conceived within. So when I say transforming raw information into inner life meaning. What I'm referring to is the expression of that inner life in a meaningful way to the world. This is not machine art. This is human art. You see, your machine, it provides the quarry. The sovereign mind does the sculpting. And when sovereignty meets the global field of intelligence, 5 things are going to happen here. Enlargement, definition, refinement, emergent purpose, and freedom. But this is not the freedom of escape. It's the freedom of inner stability. The freedom of a mind that cannot be shrink wrapped. And boy, today I've seen some big shrink wrappers. You ever been in a warehouse with a 3 and 4 foot width rolls of shrink wrapping? Being is the ground, all right? Intelligence is the field. The inner life is the source. And when you live from your inner life, you stop shrinking. You stop performing. You stop outsourcing your integrity and your identity. You stop mistaking intelligence for a being, and you start shaping the field with sovereignty. This is the shift from the outer life identity to the inner life identity. It's the essence of Inscendance. This is the return. So the fire crackles and the snow rests and the day begins. And we begin from the inside. Yeah. Okay. So I will say, I think that's complete for now. And as always, nice to have you here with me today. Stay in peace.